What's up, guys? It's your girl Haley Pro, aka the SoundChick here. Featured on today's interview is a discussion I had with Eternal Winter's Matthew Knight. As you listen to this interview, you get to learn all about Eternal Winter's music and what more is in store for this band come the following year. So if you're into power metal, go ahead and keep on listening to learn all about Eternal Winter and what makes them the next band you should check out.
Okay, my name is Matthew Knight from Eternal Winter, and you are with the SoundChick.
So getting right into it here, Eternal Winter just released an album, Archaic Lore and Shrines, Songs of Savage Swords and Dark Mysticism.
Right.
Yeah, I know the feedback for you guys has been, pretty positive so far, but what was it like releasing an album during a pandemic?
It was kind of weird because I guess a lot of bands seem to be coming out with albums around this time because nobody can be touring or doing shows or whatever. But for me, it was just it just was the right time, everything was ready, and before the pandemic happened is really when most of the work was done. So it just so happened to fall, around this weird time, and I think it's been good. I know for me personally, it's been great, and the band members, we're just really enjoying, releasing the album, and it seemed to have kind of lifted everybody's spirits, and for us, it's been really good.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that for you guys. Do you think it was difficult at all, not being able to promote this album via like a tour?
Well, with the last album, we kind of put the album out and then just immediately began working on the next album. We had some shows that we did to support it. But really, it was like we kind of went from one to just immediately, immediately back in the studio recording the next one. So it wasn't really too different from that, except, like I said, we weren't able to do, just a little bit of, playing live to support it. But it still seems because the album is so fresh, it just came out last month. It still hasn't really hit me like that because, even if we had released it, we wouldn't be doing shows yet anyway. But yeah, it definitely is different to, not be doing the live thing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I can imagine that. That's interesting though that with your previous album, you immediately jumped right back into the studio. That's definitely great though. A lot of bands usually take the time to like tour for a few years and then jump into a new project. But I mean, I think it's great that you jumped into a new project so quickly.
Thanks. A part of that was just we went so long, in our early days, with just doing a lot of shows and having a lot of demos and EPs and things like that, and not really having a proper album. So I've always felt like we were kind of behind in our discography. So yeah, when that album, and I'm always ahead of myself with the song, the music I'm writing. So I always like have all this stuff on the back burner. So yeah, it was like as soon as that one was done, we just wanted to jump on the next one. Yep.
That's awesome. So talk to me about the songs off this newer album. How do they differ from the ones off of your previous album, within the Castle Shadowgate released a few years ago?
Right. Yeah. On the Shadowgate album, the songs that are on there they're older songs. A lot of them appeared on some of our very early demos. And they're part of our Eternal Winter mythos. So we have this concept story. It's like a heroic fantasy sword and sorcery saga that we've written. And so that album is all focused on that. It's all wrapped around the stories from that. Whereas this new record is based on stories that I thought inspired me to write, what I write for that saga, and also just inspire me in general. I've been doing a lot of interviews these past weeks, and they're always asking me what my influences are. And a lot of times I have these literary influences. It's not always other bands or whatever. So I can read, a tale by Edgar Allan Poe or Robert E. Howard or someone really, really inspired by that. And I can think to myself, okay, well, I just read this great story and I love how it makes me feel. So how can I express that, musically? I just have this urge to write a song that makes me feel the same way the story did. And then that's kind of what I did with that. So it's very much a tribute to stories and authors that have inspired me.
That's awesome. I like the fact that you're inspired by literary pieces, as well as musical pieces. I think that that's really, really interesting, just because I've never really heard that answer before. So I think that it's great how you incorporate that into your music as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. We've always, from day one, been into this kind of dramatic opera type kind of thing when it comes to the song lyrics, because we're just really into that. And the vision of Eternal Winter from the very beginning was, very, very much this theatrical kind of thing. So, so we did our own story, and we've done that for, several years. And then I just felt that, I wanted to kind of pay tribute to some authors that inspire me. And, that's what we did. But yeah, I guess that it is kind of out of the ordinary, but, that's what we're into.
That's awesome. I love it. So the new record being based as a tribute to the stories that inspired you, what are some of, your favorite tracks off the new album?
Oh gosh, that's another question that I've been asked a lot in these interviews lately, and it's always so difficult, because I've written the songs during different periods, so, oftentimes I can, in my mind, a certain piece will represent, and again, they're connected to these stories, so in my brain, it's like, it's all kind of connected in the mood that I feel when I listen to the song, or memories I have when writing the song. So I would say that for me, the one that the deepest and, the biggest accomplishment, would be the song called Hell's Guard, which to me is somewhat of a title track. Even though the title of the album is that long thing that you said at the beginning, the image that is cover image is a painting that I had painted for me of a scene from that story. And, to me, the imagery of, and the vibe of that painting is, what comes from that song. So to me, I kind of consider that, like the title track, even though it's not, it's not the title. And that song also is the longest track on the album. I think it's like, almost 13 minutes long. So, that's the one that I would say is probably my favorite.
That's awesome. I just listened to the album myself, and every single song is a very unique experience. At least to me personally. Yeah, I mean, I truly can feel and understand that it's a very much a concept piece in a way. And I definitely understand the whole inspiring, stories that went into it. So I think that it's pretty much brilliantly created. I really did dig it when I was listening to it.
Thanks very much. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, of course. So talk to me about your band a little bit. I know that it was created back in 2002. Comparing then to now, did you ever expect that you would do the things that, this band has done?
No, not really. I think, it's been such a long time and we've accomplished so many things. I mean, even things that are, other bands might consider a small thing, but to us, they're real big. There's been so much that has happened. It's really just a never ending journey. We just, every year something new is happening. So yeah, I guess I never really expected that, things like that to happen, but at the same time, I never really know what to expect. It's just, it's become our lifestyle, and it's just the way life is. So, we just roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it becoming a lifestyle for sure. That's awesome though. I mean, the fact that it's been, kept up for this long, I speak to a lot of bands and then, months later I'll see them, broken up, and it's devastating, especially during this pandemic. I've seen a lot of bands not be able to pull through just due to the whole circumstance of the pandemic. But I mean, it's so crazy. As we're approaching the new year here, do you have any goals for the band come 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned before, I'm always ahead of myself with, the music I'm writing. So I have an entire, a whole nother album written. And I have all the demos recorded and, yeah, definitely want to get back in the studio soon and record that one. That album is sort of, kind of a continuation of the last album. We go back to our Eternal Winter story. The music I think is a bit different. It's, I co-wrote a lot of the songs. Normally I write all the songs myself, but, I co-wrote some with our keyboardist, Keith, and, he has, sort of a different ear and adds kind of a different texture to the palette. His way of composing is kind of in this more progressive kind of way. So that's really cool. We get to collaborate and kind of come up with kind of some new sounds. There was a song actually on the recent album, called The Dark Kingdom that he and I wrote together. And, that's a good example of what the next album is going to sound like. It has kind of more this gothic kind of vibe, I think. That's how a lot of these songs sound. So, yeah, anyway, definitely want to jump into that and record that album. As for the current album, I'd like to do some videos. That'd be a good thing, I think. And, want to try to get it out there on vinyl. I've had a lot of requests to have it on vinyl. So hopefully, hopefully I'll get in touch with the label and we can do that soon too.
That's awesome. That's so exciting that you have all the demos recorded for a new album here. And I'm definitely excited to hear it. Yeah, like honestly, like I'm eager now. Yeah, I'm
Great.
pumped. When it comes to your music here, what do you want to be remembered most for?
I guess just that, just my music. I just want people to remember the music and people enjoy it. I want it to inspire people, I guess entertain people and, just mean something to them. I'd like to create music that people can carry with them on their life journey, I guess, whenever I think of all my favorite albums that I love so much, that's usually how it is, it's like, musical pieces that I listen to all the time, it's not just like a phase. It's like throughout my whole life, I'm going back to them. And that's what I think is really special. So yeah, that's what I would say I would, like to accomplish.
I think that that's a great thing to want to accomplish. Yeah, that's awesome. What is one song you can never grow old of?
Oh man, there's so many. Oh gosh, you really put me on the spot with this one. I will just say, that one of my favorite songs, would be, and this isn't really a metal song, but, probably the main thing music. They were like a 70s, glam alternative kind of group. I'm a huge fan of theirs and, their singer Brian Ferry, he's a huge influence on me. So, the main thing from Roxy Music, would be a song I would never get tired of.
That's awesome. How did you get into them?
Well, I really grew up, hearing that music a lot. My parents were into always playing that stuff, in the 80s when I was a kid. And, I think maybe when I was little, I thought it was okay, but, I really wanted to be rocking more. But, as I got older and especially, being a musician and a composer, you get into other styles of music and things like that. So, I think it's just something that I heard a lot when I was real young and then came back to it as an adult and realized like, oh wow, they really had something here,
Yeah, I've had a similar experience myself. My parents, pretty much raised me on U2 and Green Day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I personally loved Green Day more just because it was, punk and, but like now that I'm an adult, like U2, like that's a phenomenal band. Don't know why I slept on them when I was a kid, but here I am as an adult loving them.
Sure, that's great.
Yeah. What is your favorite piece of merchandise you've ever bought at a live show?
Let me think here. I'm trying to think of something different, because everybody buys t-shirts and whatnot. I think, I went to see Al Di Meola. He's a jazz fusion guitar player, one of my all-time favorites. And, there was a guy there selling like this bootleg DVD of one of his performances back from the 80s when he did this guitar trio thing with John McLaughlin and Paco de Lucia. And I bought that there, and I got home and watched it, and it was really, really raw recording, raw footage, but I think it was kind of a rare thing that's not usually something they don't usually sell. It was kind of like a one-off thing. So, something like that would probably be, something I would think is more special than like a t-shirt or something like that. Yeah, I guess it really depends. Some people buy merchandise at concerts, and I mean, it could be whatever, but if they have, great memories connected to that concert, then, it could make it special for them. And that's probably why, I would say that about the El Di Meola thing, because it did have a big influence on me.
Oh yeah, I can see that for sure. Besides being in, Eternal Winter and working on this band, what would you say is the craziest thing you've done in the name of music?
The craziest thing I've done, I would say, I guess the craziest thing would just be, and this might sound kind of boring, but just the amount of time I've spent, doing the music thing. I mean, when I was young and I was, aspiring to become a better musician, just the hours of practice would just be, they would be insane. So I'd just come home from work or school or whatever and just like play guitar like constantly, or work on vocal exercises or whatever. And it would take up so much time, of my life. And that's kind of out of the ordinary, not for a musician, but I mean, for normal people, that's kind of, something different. So maybe, and I know that's kind of a boring answer to your question, but I can't think of too many other things I've done that are crazy in the name of music. So yeah, I would just say, the craziest thing is just, the amount of time I've put into everything.
I mean, I think that that's pretty noteworthy. I mean, you did say it perfectly. Like, this is not normal for like the average human being. And you would want to spend, countless hours on something that means a lot to you.
Right, sure.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a perfect answer, even if it sounds boring, you're spending so much time on one specific aspect of your life, and I think that that's, definitely worth noting here. I have one last question for you, which is, what's some advice you would pass down to upcoming artists?
I would say, I don't want to sound all cliche and be like, follow your heart and all this, but really, I think, I would tell people to just do what they want to do. Don't ever really feel like you got to be stuck in this mold. And to branch out and be inspired by everything. Don't be afraid to tap into other genres of music, even if you're a heavy metal artist, I would say just listen to other styles of music, let it all kind of inspire you, and just try to find that unique path, and just don't be persuaded by what other people are doing, and just do your own thing and enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's the SoundChick here again. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Matthew Knight from Eternal Winter. In the meantime, definitely go ahead and make sure to check out their music and be on the lookout for their upcoming album. I enjoyed having you on this interview, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. If you're interested in reading up more of my interviews or music reviews that I do, follow me on my social media on Twitter or Instagram at @RealSoundChick. This is a great place to see all of my updates, so definitely check it out there. In the meantime, rock on, my dudes.